Adorable Pandaring just came out, right? Like or it's about to be kickstarted.
So it's Pandaring.
Pandering,
so the joke is we're pandering to people with cuteness using pandas.
Got it.
So what we did, kind of responding to the exploding kittens.
Sure.
Like I can pander with pandas. That's fun.
Okay.
So made up a game. Decided to print up a couple hundred of them short run from PAX here, and we've got it running on Kickstarter for like the real print run with real cards and everything.
Okay.
It is a super simple game. It's got adorable panda art, and your goal is to have adorable pandas. There is something called the panda law, which tells you which pandas are adorable. The deck is numbered of pandas 1 through 10, and so maybe just the even pandas, the low pandas, the high pandas. As you play through the game, you're going to be gathering bamboo. And your goal in the game is to get 5 bamboo, which you get for having adorable pandas.
Okay.
It's a game for 3 to 5 players, so every turn you're playing out pandas, and once there are enough adorable pandas out, the red panda, which is everyone's favorite cutest panda, comes along and says it's time to score. Flip this over. Everyone looks at how many adorable pandas they have based on the law, and whoever has the most gets a bonus bamboo. Everybody that has some gets a little bit of bamboo. And you continue on with a new law. Somebody changed it. Now low pandas are adorable.
Okay.
It takes like 2 minutes to explain, 5 minutes, 10 minutes to play.
Sure.
Little group game.
How many players?
3 to 5.
3 to 5. Okay.
It's ages 10 and up or so, which is good. It's full of adorable pandas.
Yeah, of course. No, I love the artwork.
Yeah, no. My friends knocked it out of the park. I have a friend who is between gigs and just like, I can do some art. And I'm like, yes. And that's how we have adorable pandas. So it's on Kickstarter now for the next month, and it'll probably be out this spring or summer, depending on how many copies you have to print.
And so what's the like base Kickstarter pledge?
$12.
$12. There you go. $12 game is pretty good entry.
That's what we do. It's just cards, just like our title from last year, Red 7.
Yep.
So why don't I tell you about Red 7?
Yeah, Red 7. Tell me about it. I've heard a lot about the buzz about it.
So Red 7 is a very simple game, which is hiding somewhere else.
That's okay.
But it's fun. So all Red 7 is a deck of 49 cards, numbered 1 through 7, in the rainbow colors, red through violet. So there's a red one, an orange one, a yellow one. And how the game plays is you've got your hand of 7 cards. That's all you get for the whole game. You never get to draw new cards unless you're using the special advanced rules. You have to stay in the game as long as possible by being in the lead at the end of every turn.
Okay.
At each of your turns.
Yeah.
So the basic rule of the game is red. Highest card wins. So I put down the red 6, I'm winning. You put down your orange 7, you're winning. The key comes when you want to change the rules of the game. Every color has its own rule associated. Red is highest card, orange is most of one number, so I've got 3 4s down, and orange is the rule. I'd be winning by 3. In addition to putting down a card to add to your palette that you're building up, you can discard a card to change the rule to that color.
Okay.
So you're managing your hand to both put cards in front of you that are helping you and changing the rules to outmaneuver your opponents.
Okay.
It also plays in about 10 minutes. $12.
Yeah.
It's kind of our small card game price point this year.
Sure. Well, and I've heard a lot about it. It's doing pretty well.
Yeah. It managed to take 4th place in the Card Game of the Year voting for Board Game Geek's Golden Geek Awards.
Excellent.
Which was really good. For a filler game, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I was really excited about that. It was great just to get nominated, honestly. But people love it. It is by myself and Carl Shuddock that made Innovation.
Okay, yep.
So that's cool.
Okay.
The other new game we've got is Heat here. And Heat is a game about heists.
Okay.
It is by the designer of Get Bit, Dave Chalker.
Yep.
He likes sharks and stealing things, so that's what he does. So Heat is a nice little drafting game. It's for the large price point of $16. I know, you're breaking the bank. Basically, you play 3 heists, and before each heist, you're going to draft a hand of your plans. And the cards all depict things like a bank job or laying low. So the trick with, stealing lots of money is you gain heat. And heat is represented by these fancy little red fire tokens. As you gain heat, you're more invisible to the police. And at the end of the game, you're going to have to pay off a lot of money for all the heat that you've accumulated by stealing all of the stuff.
Okay.
So you have to manage how much you steal versus how much heat you're taking.
Yeah.
It uses a mechanic where the more heat that's out in general, the more all of the heat costs.
Okay.
So there's a little chart here. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. But the first heat, if there's only one heat in play, it's $1. But if everyone's got like 3 or 4, they're all worth 5.
Okay.
So if you notice everybody's taking a lot of heat, you might want to play a card like Lay Low, which returns heat. And you don't get as much money, but you're not going to have to pay your lawyers tons of your money at the end of the game.
Okay.
Better Call Saul style.
Interesting. So it's the balance of how much money you're taking in with how much attention you're giving.
All of the actions are simultaneous, so everyone picks a thing to do for the turn, and a lot of the cards depend on guessing what other people are doing. So there's a lot of mind games that go on. You're allowed to negotiate and be like, yeah, I'm totally going to lay low this game. Bank job.
Okay. So how many players?
Heat goes from 3 to 5 also.
Okay.
You can play with 2, it's a little weird, but you need more people to run a heist.
Yeah.
My favorite card in the game is Bank Job,
Okay.
which says take 2 heat. If no one else tried to rob the bank this turn, get $5. Otherwise, you get nothing. But you still get the 2 heat.
Yeah. Okay.
If all the robbers show up to the bank at the same time, you all just get arrested.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. And so besides these 3, the Red 7, Adorable, Pandaring, and Heat, what else is going on?
So actually a lot. We're doing a lot of things this year. We've
Okay.
got the winner of the Tabletop Death Match, the Cards Against Humanity.
Penny Press, right?
Penny Press.
Yeah.
We're publishing that.
Okay.
It is on a boat right now from China. Fingers crossed. Should get here in a couple of weeks.
Excellent.
So we're aiming for April release date with that.
Okay.
That game is beautiful. I don't have one with me, obviously, but
Well, I saw some in the game library. Actually.
yeah, we got a couple of advanced copies over there. It looks amazing. I'm super psyched about that game. It's a great game. That game, once you play it a couple times, it plays in like 25, 30 minutes if you know what you're doing.
Okay.
And it's so thematic. You're putting little stories onto your newspaper front page, arranging them like you would if you were publishing your own newspaper. I love it, I think, and that's why I voted for it.
Sure. Yeah.
In addition to that, we've got 2 interesting concept games coming out onto Kickstarter later this year, called Consequential and 1001 Space Odysseys.
Okay.
Both of these are hybrid board game video games.
Okay.
A lot like what Fantasy Flight did with XCOM.
Yep.
We're going to have a game where you're going to have the board and you're going to have a tablet next to you doing a lot of interactive stuff. Both of them are very heavily story-driven. So for Consequential, you're essentially playing an RPG with a board game and you're moving your characters around. Anytime there's a dialogue or a story output, the tablet's going to have voice-acted content of pictures of the characters, the dialogue on screen, and what's going on. So you're kind of getting like a movie experience while you're playing your board game.
Sure.
1001 Space Odysseys is a little similar to that. Consequential is a big story arc, so you'll play like a 16-week season. 1001 Space Odysseys is more of a episodic situation where every time you play, you have all these crazy races in space, and where we're aiming for is sort of the Hitchhiker's Guide level of silliness.
Sure. Yeah.
Every game you draft a little crew of weird aliens, and you go to planets, and crazy things happen. You might encounter a planet full of cat people who have weird customs around something.
Sure.
Where that one is very early in the concept stage. Julia Urquhart, my girlfriend, is actually doing the writing for it.
And so will the story part be driven through the app?
Yeah, so what'll happen is, I don't know if you're familiar with Tales of the Arabian Nights.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a play on that with a little more crunchy gameplay.
Okay.
So every time you do a thing, the app is going to come up with this little story list and a few choices. So, you land on a planet and you need to deliver these goods to port. Do you try and use diplomacy to talk to local authorities? Do you try and use stealth to sneak it through? Or do you just try and blast your way through the port?
Yeah. That's such a better way to do that style than the 2 different books you have to look up and get to the right thing. Okay, that's excellent.
Well, I mean, if they had out 20 years ago.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, so the app will be like, here are your 3 choices, push a button, and then it'll say, all right, roll your piloting skill, and based on the crew that you've drafted at the end of the game, you're going to be better or worse at some of those choices. In addition to thinking, geez, do I really want to shoot my way through that port? All right, I've got 3 guys in my crew that can fire lasers. I'm going to roll these dice, which for the purpose of this interview are these chips.
Sure.
And hey, good things happened. I shot my way through, I get these goods, I get points, and you proceed on your mission. So it doesn't have an overarching plot, but the world, which we'll be able to continually build now, is going to have all these nice little stories. You're going to learn what races are like, you know, just like you know what a Klingon or a Romulan is from watching Star Trek a million times. You'll learn what the Odysseys or the space janitors are.
Okay.
It sounds really fun. I'm excited to get that game.
Yeah.
It's you know, probably a year and a half out, but we're working on it.
And when are you thinking for those Kickstarters?
So Consequential is probably going to kickstart over Gen Con this year, which we do every year, and then we don't do it. Consequential's actually been in development for 3.5 years.
Okay.
A lot of the problem is we've been waiting for technology to catch up.
Sure.
When I first had the idea 3 years ago, nobody had an iPad.
Yeah.
And that's hard, because you can't sell an iPad game if 5% of your customer base is like, oh, I can do that, and the rest are like, what am I going to do? Right on the table. But now everyone's got a smartphone. A lot of people have tablets. You know, Microsoft got the Surface, so we're going to be able to push it out to lots of different platforms, and pretty much anybody can play. We've seen with XCOM and Alchemist, and there's one other that's coming out soon that's not out yet. People are cool with that kind of gameplay. It's a lot of fun. I love XCOM. It's great. And that emboldened me to say, yes, we can do this. But yeah, we love Kickstarter. Kickstarter's fun. Kickstarter Adorable Pandaring. It's full of adorable pandas.
Well, excellent.
So that is the gist of what Asmadi is doing this coming year.